Not long ago, a few stations and maybe one or two newspapers delivered news to our homes. We enjoyed time with family and turned on the news to learn what was happening around the world. Today, we search online for our news in an echo chamber. We open links to find the information that validates or echoes what we already believe. It doesn't matter if the information is true, and we are no longer getting the news. Day by day, life is reduced to a reflection of our own thoughts. This echo chamber resembles the idea of projection in psychology. Freud observed how a patient avoided confronting her own feelings of shame by imagining others were gossiping behind her back. She attributed her uneasy feelings to the behavior of others rather than explore her own feelings of shame. This allowed her to avoid an inner conflict she couldn't process or understand. Had she looked within, she would have discovered how shame was a misunderstanding. Events can cause us to feel guilt or shame, even while we've done nothing wrong. Of course, if we didn't have an unconscious fear of being found out, we'd never think others are judging us. Projection is how feelings we don't understand, hide, or protect take on an obsessive quality and unwittingly become the center of our focus. Archetypes are universal and inborn models that play a role in influencing our behavior. The archetype of the other is anything that is not me. As we confront ideas that frighten or feel foreign to us, rather than own and examine the discomfort as our own feeling, we project its cause as coming from the other. This allows us to avoid discomfort, and it makes life more predictable. Ego hates any kind of change, and it views new information as troublesome. Ego is just the face of our defense mechanisms. As part of our survival instinct, we can imagine it searching for what is threatening or out of place in the environment, so it can bring events back under its control. While it can't change events, it can control our response to them. Taking form as the energy of fear, large media companies have learned how to tap it. They've made fear the primary means of distribution. Rather than adopt a new idea, we look for consensus among others who believe as we do, and the other becomes the archetype of our adversary. Factions develop and enemies are created. The feelings we don't understand or are avoiding require immediate resolution, and it's just easier to offload our insecurities and move on. A similar idea has been studied and documented as the fear-affiliation relationship. When tested, strangers will begin affiliating, looking for reassurance when any type of discomfort or fear is introduced into the environment. Projection allows us to resolve our feelings, of course in a less productive way. If a person feels threatened, perhaps by a lack of self-esteem, they may bully another. In a sense, they are ridiculing weakness in someone when it is actually part of their own misunderstanding of feeling weak. Through projection, we transfer ownership of our feelings and encounter it as something coming from out there. Confucius said, when meeting contention in another, it is wise to look within. Carl Jung thought that by transferring a disturbing self-assessment onto another, the advantage of projection is it gets rid of the painful conflict once and for all. As a dream analyst, I observe how everything and everyone who appears in a dream embodies our changing ideas as we examine possible paths forward. Nothing is good or bad. We simply examine qualities of the other, symbolized by those who appear in our dreams, and we do this with an open mind. Although we are unaware, a similar mirroring occurs in daily life through projection. What I love most about Taoism is how it incorporates the daily experience as a philosophical journey, not something to be negated. The inner treasure lost by dragging the adversary about when there is no adversary is how the ancient Taoists understood projection. Owning our darkness or inner misunderstandings can give us greater access to enlightenment. Our inner treasure combines compassion, not embroiling but learning, and a desire to be the guest, not the host of what unfolds. In this way, Each experience offers us a gift. Nature brings opposites together to provoke a type of transformation. Nothing is good or bad. When anything reaches an extreme, natural disasters or revolutions simply bring about balance. Like yin and yang, a two-party democratic system seeks to achieve this type of balance. It promotes stability at the same time that it allows for the introduction of new ideas. The two parties were never meant to agree. They may fear the outcome of their disagreement, however, as a loss of control. Voting tends to balance out their differences. Studies show that conservatives have traditionally preferred order, while liberals appeared more open to uncertainty. The right accuses the left of threatening their freedoms with government structures that appear too ordered. In the meantime, the left is accusing the right of overthrowing democracy and rejecting what worked in the past. Liberals seem to be promoting order, while conservatives are giving free rein to uncertainty. This is the natural way opposites transform each other. Both view the other as closed-minded, dishonest, and immoral. But how does this transfer of ideologies become the face of the other? Projection is how we accuse the other of possessing our own flaws. We have to examine what is being repressed. Conservatives tend to appreciate Christian values, but they don't seem to extend compassion to serving the needy with any type of social assistance. Liberals believe they are tolerant, but they don't seem to extend this tolerance to the idea that other people might have their own beliefs. The right thinks they are defending liberty, while they enact laws that restrict individual freedoms. The left thinks they are defending democracy, while they demonize those with opposing views. In the meantime, nobody's being truthful, taking responsibility for their hypocrisies, or willing to examine their own inconsistencies. If each looked at their own motives and founding principles, they just might find consensus. Confucius was right. Rather than try to change the other, we do well to change ourselves. When someone pushes our buttons or we meet a situation that feels unusually charged, we can learn about our deeper motivations by observing and owning our reactions. What we accuse of the other is usually something unresolved within us. Perhaps we sense our deeper inconsistencies. If we feel defensive, a better course of action is to ask ourselves, what are we defending and why? Seeing the other as the enemy is not enlightenment. It is how we continue to walk in darkness. We might blame the media for serving us food for our fear. However, today the news is more like a vending machine. We are the ones who push the button and make the choice of what we read. Life becomes a lot more joyous when we are willing to take responsibility for our unresolved feelings. We only learn that they are there when our hackles go up. Rather than get angry, turn within. By removing the charge and not embroiling in the drama we unwittingly create, we learn to appreciate how life is leading us back to our joy.